Hi, it's Natalia with Enchanted Herbals and the Rooted Womb. Today we're going to talk about what it means to have your needs met, or asking the questions, are your needs met? So this could be very complicated or very simple depending on where you already are in your journey. Before we start, I just wanted to encourage you to slow down and take a couple of deep breaths. So if you like, we can close our eyes and just start to feel the breath as you draw in 2 slow, deep breaths. When you feel complete, just allow for the eyes to open. Just noticing any changes in the body. That is a pretty profound practice to have, is the practice of breath and breath work. So I encourage you to explore that on a daily basis. It's an incredible tool to have in your toolbox. So it changes so much in the body. It brings you into rest and digest. It can help regulate your heart rate, your emotions. It brings you into a place where you can create solutions rather than really focus on the problem. And physically, it brings oxygen, right, and blood supply, oxygen-rich blood supply to all the limbs and the organs in the body. So it's pretty vital. It is actually one of our basic needs, right, primal needs for the physical body. So now that we're taking our breaths and we arrive here in this moment, I might also encourage you to grab a piece of paper and a pen in case I say something that resonates with you, or if you have an awareness during this that you can jot it down. So what does it mean when I say, have your needs been met? So if you sit and contemplate that statement, maybe you agree with it and you say, yeah, I feel like my needs are being met. Maybe you're like, I don't even know what my needs are, right? I don't know. Or maybe you're like, nope, I do know my needs and I completely ignore those needs. So just trying to find where you are in that statement, and if you even know, because this is where it's going to take you to heal that space. So if you don't even know what your needs are, then that's the time where you're going to sit down and really write them down, journal them, find out what they are. If you know what they are and you're meeting them, then fantastic. You just keep going with what you're doing. And if you are ignoring those needs, then it's time to find out why, right? And sit with it and be like, figure out how that's impacting your life and why you might be ignoring those needs. So it just depends. So basically I'm going to go over each body, so the physical body, the mental, emotional, and the spiritual body. And maybe we'll start to see how it impacts each one of those bodies. And then just kind of getting you to think about how you might be self-sabotaging yourself and how that shows up when you're not actually meeting your needs, how that might show up into your world, into your life. So I like to kind of start with the physical body first, because I feel like it's easier to explain the needs that your physical body needs. So your physical body is this amazing organism that really thrives to survive in this present moment, right? And in order to do that, it needs certain needs, not wants, but certain needs to optimally survive and optimally function in homeostasis in this moment. So some of those basic needs would be breath, hydration, nourishment, touch, movement. So these are some things that the body really does need in order to function to its highest possibility in this moment. And that's kind of our goal, right? Like we really want to be functioning in a way that feels good, that helps us reach our goals, that encourages us to keep going in those hard times, right? So finding all those wonderful things that really nourish us in a very positive manner, right? So some questions I like to ask is, how does this show up in your life? So meeting your needs or not meeting your needs. So how does that show up in your life? And what are you falsely craving to fulfill that need? So if you're not fulfilling a need, what is the counterpart to that? What is the ripple effect that's having in your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies? So just really being curious, asking yourself a lot of questions, really starting to identify how you respond and why. So this is so different for so many because it all depends on how you were raised, depends on your circumstances of your life, right? So we're just going to kind of hit these kind of broad areas here and then encourage you to keep going deeper with it on your own. So are your needs being met? So physically, primally, right? The body's job is right here, right now to survive. Are those needs being met? So do you tend to breathe shallow, breathe deep? Do you not get enough water, and why? Do you eat healthy foods? Now, right, today's society, we have a really big problem with feeding ourselves in a healthy manner and what even that means. Some people just don't even know what it means to eat a nourishing diet and how much that impacts your physical health. So your body will sustain itself as long as it possibly can. Like it's really trying to survive in this moment, and it does a really fantastic job. But there's things that we have to incorporate, that we have to give the body so it can run optimally. And one of those things, or an easy way to explain that too, is you're like your car, right? You can't run the car when it's out of gas. You won't go anywhere, right? So the body's the same. It's going to keep trying to function as best as it can in this moment, especially with your vital organs and your vital sense, until it can't, right? So until it gets so malnourished that something gets so broken down that then it stops you, right, from going on any farther. So nourishment, food is medicine, and I say it almost everything that I post, everything that I talk about, I always remind you that your food is medicine. It really does matter, the quality, quantity, and how you're eating. So just kind of look into that basic need for your body. How that might show up negatively, right? So if you aren't getting the basic nourishment that your body needs, it's going to start breaking down other tissue to protect vital organs, or starts compensating to try to keep you going, right? So the body is just going to keep going. It's going to try to figure out a way until it just runs out of its resources, right? So an easy way to explain this, and I'm sure I've said it on past videos too, is your heart is one of the vital organs, and your heart is much more important than bone density. So if you're not getting enough calcium or all the other elements that go with calcium so you can absorb calcium properly, then it's going to start breaking down bone or other tissue to get those elements to create strength in the heart. So I'm really simplified version there, but it is just an example to show you that the body is going to try to do what it needs to do to survive in this moment. So it really behooves you to meet your physical needs in your body. So if you're not meeting those needs, then go back to those questions of maybe how is that showing up? So are you in pain? Are you tired all the time? Hormone imbalances? Like how is that showing up in your body and in your life? And what you might be falsely craving to fulfill that need. So you might be creating a toxic reaction to fulfill that need. So that would be that breaking down, like the body's breaking down tissue, attacking its own tissue, like things that start to go wrong in the physical body. So that's how it might show up physically. So the next would be the mental emotional state. And I'm just going to kind of lump those two together. I'll talk a little briefly about them separately. But the mental state also needs proper nourishment, right, to function properly, proper oxygen supply as well. But it needs a certain amount of proper stimulation. So the brain likes to be working, right? So does the body. It's meant for movement. It's meant to keep going, right? So the brain, positive stimulation to the brain could be some wonderful brain games, puzzles, conversations with people, recall, learning, music, playing music, things that really positively impact the brain. How that can show up negatively is if you're not getting that, is I've seen or feel like when the brain isn't properly nourished or properly stimulated, it's going to find something to dwell on or something to create a sense of stimulation to it. So sometimes those are negative events, negative impacts, negative emotions, a lot of anxiety and depression, like the brain just trying to figure out what to do. So this is how it can negatively impact the mental state if your needs aren't being met. The emotional state is our feeling state. So this is how we kind of feel things through the body. And so what are your emotional needs? Like a lot of basic emotional needs is feeling love, is feeling supported, feeling wanted, feeling needed through yourself, intimately, internally, as well as externally, right? So really fulfilling your emotional needs, learning about what you need emotionally, because that's going to be pretty individualized depending on who you are and how you've been brought to this present moment. So really learning, like, what is it emotionally that I need to feel optimal in this moment, to really feel like my authentic, true self in this moment, right? To create profound function, right, in this moment. And whatever that is, start to cultivate it within yourself and learning. A way that it can negatively impact you, one of the easiest examples I can say is, when we're children, we require a lot of attention as children. And if you're not getting that attention, kids will learn how to get it some way or another. So they can act out in a negative way to get attention if that's the only way they're getting it, right? So emotionally, this is how they're trying to fulfill that need falsely, by acting out and getting any kind of attention that they can to fulfill that need. We do that as grown-ups as well. It just might be a little bit different. Maybe we don't throw ourselves on the ground and have a fit. Maybe you do. I don't know. More power to you. But learning how that feels in the body and how you can remedy it. The next is the spiritual body. So this is the body of knowing. This is more about faith and belief, right? The spiritual body isn't quite tangible like our physical body. It's not our perception like our mental body and our feeling like our emotional body. But this is a knowing, right? It's a deep-seated, depending on your background in spirituality and what you believe, it could go beyond what you can even imagine, right? Out into the universe, out into multiple lives. It could be very present here and now, as simple as, sitting with your favorite tree, right? So it's something that's higher than you, and it's something that helps draw you through pleasure as well as pain in life, when we have no physical or mental motivation to. I feel like spirituality is super important and very personal. It's very intimate. So like my spirituality is customized for who I am and the needs that I need to be fulfilled spiritually. So for me, a really great example of that is nature. Like I require a certain amount of time with plants, with nature, really observing the magic that happens around me to fulfill myself spiritually and feel connected. There's more, but that's one of the things that I really feel. How it can negatively impact you is if you're not having your spiritual needs met, you might feel lost. You might not really know your purpose or who you are. It can kind of really lead to even different types of kind of depression and anxiety. You're not really grounded and able to pull through really tough times, So that can be anything in your life that kind of relates to spirituality. So again, these are things that just depends on how life has treated you up till now and how you're already wired to react. But finding out what these needs are. So if you don't even know what your needs are, just sitting with yourself quietly, taking those deep breaths, learning to feel, right? The body doesn't use any words to talk to you. It uses feelings and sensations. So really learning to feel that, see what the body's trying to communicate to you, your mind, your perception, really knowing your emotions. When you get into certain emotional states, starting to learn why are you just malnourished. There's things that can happen physiologically wise that can make anxiety worse, like thyroid function, anemia, hormonal function not right. Even though I'm breaking it up into different bodies, they're very much intertwined. So just kind of learning and keeping very curious about what the process are with your needs being met. Okay, so I like these questions again. How does it show up in your world? Your needs being met and your needs not being met. And if they're not being met, what are you falsely creating or craving to fulfill that need? So addictions, things that are toxic in your life, relationships in your life. If you were that little kid that really got your needs met through negative emotions and acting out, you might grow up in that same sense, and maybe you're in a relationship where you're battered and you're abused, and that's how you feel that you're loved, right? So just kind of really starting to see how things are playing out in your current life and how that impacts your needs for your physical, mental, emotional, and your spiritual bodies. All right, so let's see here. Oh, another really great thing for the mental body too is obviously is meditation and breath, like slowing it down, learning to navigate through the mind, because remember, your mind is your perception of the world. And when your mind is off kilter, man, right? Like any of us who've ever experienced depression or anxiety, like everything just changes, right? It affects you deeply, physically, spiritually. It really affects you. So keeping your perception and your mind healthy, strong, and vital. So really finding out what the needs are for the mind and the emotions. Meditation and breath really help with that, as well as journaling. I always recommend journaling. This is going to help the whole process of all those bodies connect and find out what's good. So learn how to satisfy those needs and live into your full potential, right? If you need any help or guidance, please reach out to people that love and support you. I also do healing energy work. I do Reiki, shamanic Reiki work, long distance and one-on-one, or in person. And I do herbal consultations, so holistic medicine, herbal medicine, plant medicine, food, lifestyle, supplements, things like that. And that is also long distance as well as in person. So if I can help you in any way, I would be honored to. Share this with anybody that you feel could use these words and maybe really step into satisfying the needs of their body so they can reach their full potential of life, really standing in pleasure and happiness. And it doesn't mean that you're not going to fall and you're not going to get wounded again, but you get back up a little bit easier when you have these things in mind. So thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I really, truly appreciate it. Add any comments that you would like. I'd love to connect with you personally, or you can follow me on social media. My Facebook page is Natalia Enchanted Herbals, and my Instagram is Enchanted Herbals. So subscribe here too, so you can see other videos that I have coming out. Thank you so much. Remember to breathe deep, breathe slow, take care of yourself, learn to know what your needs are, and have them met. Thank you.